When I went for my treatment, the day the doctor tells me that you have 30% chances of survival, you're on 4th stage. And at the end of it, when I look at my smartwatch and I say how much, and I've walked 10 kilometers, and I'm like, you know what? When this is what I've heard, and if I can walk and if I can do this, I'm going to survive it. I was so angry. I was like, I've left everything behind. You've not let me, even shut things down, or, I don't even know if I'm going to come back. That was the scary part. As the bloated face, the scar, and the baldness, and especially when the hair just starts coming. It's just the most ugly sight on the top of your head. It's really not... But I did that, and the point was, I said that the moment you're scared of something and you're feeling that, no, how can I do this? I need to go out and do it. Ranveer has been asthmatic as a child, so he just reaches into his backpack and takes out his pump and takes a, because that obviously any stress kind of triggers that off, and he takes his medicine, puff of that, and he just... sits there absolutely quietly. Being skinny was definitely not the standard of beauty, so voluptuousness was the standard of beauty, and you were just not woman enough if you were not voluptuous.
In life, you brave through a lot of challenges. It may make you better or bitter. The choice is yours. Similarly, the choice is also yours, whether you want to come out as a victim or a victor. Today, I have somebody who I wanted to speak to for the last 2-3 years, and I understood her reasons for not being able to do an interview. But she's always been a survivor, and she channelizes that energy, that positive radiance around her. I'm a 90s kid, and for me, she'll always remain an emotion. Welcoming Sonali Bandre in conversation with me only on Her Story Season 3 on Bollywood Bubble. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I have to say that for any 90s kid, whoever is sitting here, they will say that you've been an emotion and you continue to remain an emotion. Today, the whole system has changed, but I think 90s ka maza hi alag tha. Is baat pe to main kisi ke sath bhi jhagad lu. You've always been very vocal and honest about your experiences.
Yeah.
When the news of you being detected with cancer came out, I think everybody got a shock. And I remember, I have to say this.
Yeah, I got a shock too.
Yeah. But you also treated it, you also dealt with it head on. Where did you get that courage? Were there no moments of fear?
Of course there was. I mean, how can you not be? There was a lot of fear also. But you either made it or you didn't. When there are only those two choices, and the one, and you don't like one choice, then you work towards the only choice that is available, and you kind of block the other one out and say, this is what it takes to make it, then this is what I'm doing. And I think that's where we were, everything that I knew, I wanted to make it. Yeah. And this felt like the only way that I would make it if I, embraced it rather than fought it. So, yeah.
At that point, what was your first reaction? Because we got to know it much later. You must have gotten to know it much earlier.
Not really, not very much later than when you guys did. It was a shock to all of us. It was totally unexpected. And I would say, when I went for my treatment, the day the doctor tells me that you have 30% chances of survival, you're on 4th stage. And we've gone to New York. We don't have an apartment, anything. Goldie and me, only the two of us, because, by the time everybody could be collected or whatever, just the two of us have gone off. And he's like, I'm going to go and look at the apartments. And I'm like, I'm not sitting here alone moping, I'm coming with you. And at the end of it, when I look at my smartwatch and I say how much, and I've walked 10 kilometers, and I'm like, you know what? When this is what I've heard, and if I can walk and if I can do this, I'm going to survive it. And that was a signal that I'm going to survive it. That night, I didn't sleep. I went through that whole night and I woke up saying, this is it. I'm not going to cry over this. This is the last bit of it. I'm going to take it head on, and, I'm going to make the most of it. And quite frankly, after that, we did treat it like a holiday in the US with chemotherapy thrown in.
But Kabhi,
I was spending so much money. We were like, Goldie and me, like, let's make the most of this holiday.
It's a nice way to look at it. It's a very positive way to look at it. But were there moments where you felt like, why me? Like, were there any moment where you felt like that?
Listen, why me is the most redundant word ever for any situation in life. What does anybody mean by why me? Why not you? I mean, then who else? Everybody has their own struggles. It's just that you don't know it, so you think they don't have it. But that's not true. every single person on the face of this earth has their own struggles.
Yeah.
Just because they're different from yours, you don't think it's a struggle, but it's a struggle for them. So I have never in my life believed in why me.
Goldie in an interview said that you didn't want to travel to New York.
Yeah. He gave me no choice. He packed me literally like in a day, and I was so angry. I was like, I've left everything behind. You've not let me, even shut things down, or, I don't even know if I'm going to come back. And he's saying, so then it doesn't matter, no, if you're not. That's what he has told me. So I said, yeah. He's saying, no, we are not. He's just literally in 2 days, we were out of the country. I don't know. He was working the day. In the night, he was, because it was day in New York, he was coordinating with the doctor. He was like a man possessed, and I don't know how he did it, but I wouldn't have made it without him.
Exactly, I was going to come to that because when we talk about your journey, your husband has played a very, very important role in it.
Yes.
And I'll just say this because there was a point of time in my life when my mom was like really like I lost a pet, and I was really upset, and my mom was devastated, and my brother and my father were out.
Yeah.
And she was bawling, and I remember I was a child, and my brother called me and said that you can't cry, because if you cry, then she'll fall weaker. I think when I see Goldie, I feel that he also gave you that strength, because if he fell weak, you would fall weaker. Do you agree?
No, he was my rock. He was, he was everything.
Yeah.
I have had great support from both the sides of my family and our friends. They've been hugely supportive, and they were all there. But he was the pivotal point, and he was handling everything, and everybody was he was the fulcrum.
Yeah. Whenever I've heard stories from people who have been through this and battled it, especially, they've always said that more than them, the family gets affected, and there are certain questions that they, beyond the point you're asked that so many times that you get irritated. Were there moments like that where you felt like disconnecting?
In fact, what you said is a very, very important thing, because primary caregivers go through a lot, especially with the kind of illness this was, or this kind of illness, and there must be a lot of other people who will do that. And you're all looking at the patient, and and what the patient needs. But the primary caregivers are going through so much mentally and physically, because they're dealing with all of that a lot of times you don't pay attention. And counseling for the primary caregivers is very, very important.
Yeah. At the same time, do you feel like did your mental health take a hit?
Yes,
because you're a very positive person, from whatever I've heard from Saita.
Of course it did. It did, definitely did. But the thing is that when you identify, it's important to accept.
Yeah.
So if you're going to live in denial and say, I'm so strong, this cannot happen to me, then you're living in denial. But accepting the fact that, I can't deal with all of this by myself, and there is no shame in asking for help.
Yeah.
And I got help. I went to an onco-psychiatrist. I did my sessions. I took the help. I understood that I can do this also, but sometimes, even if you know the path, sometimes you need somebody who will hold your hand and take you on that path, because left to yourself, you might be maybe mentally lazy, reluctant, or whatever to actually go and do it. So
a lot of it also stems from shaming. Women, when they battle any disease, there's no awareness, first of all. I feel that when there are popular faces like you who've come out, and I'll always say this, that you've come out as a victor, as a survivor, and you've battled it, and when I see you making that one day at a time post, I genuinely know that you're living it, and I genuinely know that you are giving inspiration to many others out there who may not have that source of hope.
See, when you say this, when I went through this, and the kind of response we were getting, I did feel that everybody's exaggerating it a bit, because we are also in a line where everything is always exaggerated and everything is made into such a big deal and stuff like that. I did feel that, but today I'm looking at it in retrospect. There's a perspective, and 4 years down the line, I know for a fact that the conversation has changed. And I know for a fact that this conversation was never happening before this. And I didn't intend it to like, oh, I'm going to start talking about it. It was not that. It was just that I wanted people to know the truth so that there was no gossip around it. There was no speculation around it. And there was a very selfish reason for that. My parents, Goldie's mother, my son, our family, they were all here. And I didn't want them to go through the kind of frenzy that happens when there is speculation and when there is gossip. And so that's the beauty of social media. I could put it out in my own words as to what I was going through and what I was doing to deal with it. So the Goldie and me discussed it, and we said, I'm going to put it out. We put it out, and that was the end of it. For me, the chapter was over, and I was not really going to look at it. What we didn't realize and expect was the response that we got. And what the response that we got was that, people from all walks of life, from all religions, from all genders, and like I said, every strata of society, from villages to cities, were reaching out and saying, hey, I went through this. Somebody in my family went through this. This has happened to me. And it was just so shocking. We were in shock. I said, my God, this has been so rampant. Why did I not know? Why do we behave like, oh my God, cancer, it doesn't happen to anybody. It happens so rarely. It doesn't. People are just not talking about it, and hence we're caught by surprise. Then as I went through it, what I realized was that had it been caught earlier, I wouldn't have to go through all that I went through. And it doesn't need to become a life and death issue. And when you realize that, you said, oh my God, what a waste of time and what a waste of resources. Because had I known this earlier, I would have been prepared. Doesn't mean I will not get it, but that means I will catch it early. I wouldn't have to go through the amount of harsh treatment that I had to go through, and that's why I said, my God, early detection saves lives. I keep saying that because that is what it is.
A lot of women don't do tests too.
No, a lot of people don't do tests because they are like, I don't want to know if it is. Look, it's not going to go away. And also if it is, there is a lot of genetics involved. And if it is in your family, then it's better to be to test regularly so that you know if it is in your genes, not in your genes. If it is in your genes, then just test it, catch it early, get rid of it early, move on with your life. It is as simple as that. So when we realized that, this was not something that was spoken about so much, and if it is spoken about, there is so much that can be done about it, that I decided to share the journey.
Absolutely. It was something that affected all of us. I feel it will be harsh to say that there have been so many news, but that news affected us the most, but it did. It genuinely did.
What you're saying, just an example, because at one point, Goldie had gone back and he sent me a picture. And the picture was of the headlines of I don't remember which newspaper had done this thing. And, after my news came out and after I started speaking about it, how much the testing had gone up, how many people had gone up, and that is what it was. And, Goldie said that, you know what, baby, if you've been through this and if this is the result of it, it's worth it.
Yeah.
That's what that was the message he had sent me from there. And I agree with that, Today, it's suddenly not so, everybody's talking about it so much more casually. Yeah. And at that 4 years, just 4 years back, it was not like that. It wasn't. So yes, that bit today, I accept. It was important and I'm glad I could make that conversation happen. It was a way and it was needed.
I will also give it up to you, and not just, again, because I'm doing this interview, but for not just accepting, but also coming out with the actual reality of what you felt when you were losing your hair. You were not like, oh, I embraced it only. You said that it was difficult for me to embrace it in the beginning. It is difficult for anybody. Even if they come out and say that it wasn't difficult, it was easy and I did it. It is difficult in the beginning to... What went through your mind? Because we are all in this glamour industry and there is a definition, there is a picture that we have in our minds of everybody.
See, first of all, when I realized this was the conversation and when we decided that, okay, I'm going to share the journey, the first thing that I said was, I don't want sympathy. So, and I'm not going to put this, oh my God, weeping, crying. No, that's not what I'm going to put out. But that doesn't mean I'm going to lie.
Yeah.
I'm going to be extremely truthful. But that doesn't mean while being truthful, because I want to be positive about it, I will put the positive picture out. I'm not going to hide the pain though. So that was this thing of it. I think I've done every hair product that is out there when I was modeling. Every brand of hair product I must have done. So hair was literally the crowning glory. Plus being in a profession which is all about looks.
Yeah.
So yes, it just showed me that I felt that I was brought up when we stood in front of the mirror, we got one whack on our head and we were not allowed to look into the mirror too often, my parents. So, and my mother would always say that, beauty is what is inside, and this is out of it. So I was brought up like that, and I thought I embodied it, and I know it. That little, what do you say? The little guru of youth, that is that I am doing it, I know it. And then you realize how much you don't know. So this, when you actually live a situation, is when you realize that you really don't know. You think you are not vain, but you are. Yeah. I was very, very, and I still am. I think that I'm learning to live with it. But yes, there is that grain of vanity, and looks do. I mean, I would not want it to, but they do, and that's how it has been for me. So it was very, very hard.
Was it difficult for you at that point? Did you ever think of getting a wig? Because a lot of people do
that.
And
I have lots of, I do. I never really did wear it as much. I still have them, but it was more to wear it like a. And when I got it also, I said the wigs are going to be like my hats. So as I wear hats and I change them, one look this and the other look short hair and long hair and whatever, if I felt like it. But eventually it was just too much of an effort, and actually it sounds crazy probably, but it was just so much more easier to not have hair. You just got ready faster and you just left the room quicker.
And you don't like taking time to get ready is what I've been told.
So I just ended up not really wearing it as much.
I'll tell you, from a very 90s perspective, like we spoke about, we've looked at you as this gorgeous heroine who also knew how to act really, really well. And then
I never knew that's what they thought, because the critics were only ripping me apart always.
I don't care.
I wish you were a critic then.
I am too biased to be a critic, and I feel every critic ever was or ever will be is biased negatively or positively, but they're not man or women enough to admit it. Is how I'm going to put it. But I'm biased, and it's okay. What is the big deal? You've challenged beauty standards. I'll tell you, it's not about the disease. I know people my age. They get affected by comments. Yeah. They get affected by somebody writing that you're looking too dark in this. It might be the lighting, but they get affected. Yeah. I know somebody who worked with me, and they were told by somebody ridiculously in front of me that I don't think you should be doing it because you don't know how to do makeup. And I got really furious. And I told her that no, you will do it and you should and you must. Because it breaks morale after a point of time. We have those ridiculous beauty standards set, especially for women in the society. I think you challenged that well. You have battled that all your life. Like as a heroine, you're supposed to look a certain way. You're supposed to.
I was the skinniest one.
Yeah. Have you ever been shamed or sometimes why are you looking like this? Why are you looking like that? Because nasty reports were in during the 90s.
Absolutely, because being skinny was definitely not the standard of beauty. So voluptuousness was the standard of beauty, and you were just not a woman enough if you were not voluptuous. Having said that, which it shouldn't be, and we should definitely. I remember coming back, and I remember speaking to Anita when she called up, and I said, Anita, I want to do this shoot, and I want to do it with the scar showing because I'm scared to show it. And the moment I'm scared, like it's like I think I'm going to go out only with a wig. I don't know if I should step out with my. The thing to do was to step out without the wig, to step out bald, because. Is this what you're afraid of? Crush it right there, So I was beginning to, that was the scary part. As the bloated face, the scar, and the baldness, and especially when the hair just starts coming. It's just the most ugly sight on the top of your head. It's really not. But I did that, and the point was. I said that the moment you're scared of something and you're feeling that no, how can I do this? I need to go out and do it, and just kill it right there or just crush it there. So that was one way of looking at it. Having said that, there are definitely a lot of things that need to change. But we've also become a bit too sensitive about things now.
Yeah.
So I think we are losing that balance.
We get offended
We needn't be on that other side where, things are going so bad that, you can say anything to
Offend
the woman and, body shame her. I do agree that body shaming should not have any part in our society, and especially little girls and, the kind of ideas that they're growing with, the kind of crazy dieting that people are doing, which really affects the health. People are forgetting that it's holistic, and health is holistic. It's not just this part needs to be like this and that part needs. It's in the entirety, even your mind. It needs to be balanced. But having said that, we are also reaching a stage where as soon as there's criticism, we are all getting so touchy about it. But we have to understand that criticism needs to be taken constructively, and sometimes you should be able to criticize in a proper, gentle way without being nasty or mean. But how are you going to improve if you don't know that something is not right? You will need to be told that this can be better. If you have to accept that, and you have to be able to tell that.
When you talk about being nasty, I have read, of course, I was not a journalist, I was not even old enough to read stories in the 90s, but I know, because we still read those throwback stories which are like vicious, vain, vile, everything. It's nasty to another level. It attacks somebody's personality, it gets into somebody's like insides and outsides, like anything. What were the nastiest things you've read? Because when you started off, you were really, really young. Yeah. It could have affected your mental space. Did it ever get to that?
Yes, it did. Of course it did. You are affected. And you kind of develop a thick skin eventually, but it's never thick enough actually. You kind of fool yourself saying that, now I don't get affected, but you do. You always get affected, even today. The degree gets better, you learn to live with it, or you learn to ignore it. But of course, that 1 second of that little bit does happen, yeah.
But what were the things that you read that really affected you?
So, I honestly... anything that I really don't like, I block it off and I move on from it or put it in the past, and I don't look into it then. Look into past. I don't live with I try, and I really, really try very hard to not live with regrets, and I definitely don't live in the past. So, not that I remember like a particular story so much, but I remember the whole, as soon as you were confident or friendly, then, there were always these nasty innuendos and connections that would be made with the actor or the director, which was very uncalled for. Yeah. And it always affected the atmosphere on the set, or, your friendship with the person, and, just... not a happy atmosphere. So that sort of a thing. I think one thing that I remember, because I remember asking, you mentioned Sarita, so I remember asking her about it. One of my colleagues at that point of time, they had written about this person and about the background that this person came from, and how they came from such humble background, and look now, they were just showing off about it so much, and they were talking about it like this, and but actually they come from this background, and this is where there was a huge thing about it. And I remember asking that, is it a crime to come from a humble background? I come from an even humbler background. What's the problem? I mean, tomorrow you will take off on me, and why is it a crime? Do we decide what background we come from? And how can you judge somebody on that? And I remember the reply that I got, and they said, but you've never hidden where you came from. You're always open about it, and you've spoken about it. Yeah. And this person has always painted a very different picture. And so when they lie, then you have something that we can dig into, and kind of say that, oh, this person is lying. I said, still uncalled for, because I don't agree with that. But I remember that as a lesson. It was something that I always ticked in my head, that just accept what it is, because the moment you've accepted it and you are saying it, what can you say worse than that? I've said it myself. I know what it is, and this is what it is. This is the truth. The moment something is the truth, you can't fight it.
Absolutely.
You can't call it names.
Absolutely.
Because truth is. And so I've always tried to be as truthful as I can be.
Yeah, and that is something that I've been told as well, that you have always been one of the most honest human beings ever. Like, you've said it as is.
Or not said at all.
Yeah. But do you think that has somewhere worked against you ever in terms of professional work? And do you sometimes feel like, today I am gloating, literally gloating, but I want to know that, do you sometimes feel that there was a point of time when you wanted to explore your true potential, and there were films like Zakham? There was a film like Sarfarosh. Honestly, I loved you in Duplicate because I feel that your comedy was impeccable, and we never really had heroines doing comedy except you and Juhi ma'am in the 90s, to be very honest, in that space, accepted. But it was not explored. Do you feel that somewhere it was left unexplored?
Yeah, because the looks took over, and the looks overshadowed most of the things. It was more like everything was more about the looks, and so the thing is now it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
If you're going to complain about that fact, then you should be complaining about the fact that you got into the industry and you got the amount of work that you got because of the looks. Yeah. So now suddenly the looks can't become the villain of the piece and say, they're only looking at my looks and not giving me the other opportunity. So yes, I did not get that. In fact, I'm forgetting the name of the film. It was a Ram Gopal Verma film directed by E. Nivas, and Saif and me were the couple, and Fardeen and Twinkle were there in it.
Love ke liye kuch bhi karega.
It was mad, and how much, and there was, and we had such a blast doing that because we were just created, and what you said is true. I know I have that timing, and I enjoy it, and it comes very naturally.
It's a cult. Excuse me.
And believe me, we would just make it on the set. Literally, we would be making it on the set, and we were having so much fun.
Oh my God.
Improvising while we were doing it, and we would just really be having a blast doing it. So, Sarfarosh, John had seen that in me as a model, and he was the one who first gave me that opportunity to do that little comic timing kind of a zone, as you see it. But yeah, other than that, it did get stuck with the looks a bit, but no complaints, it's okay.
But
now I shall do it.
Absolutely. I think the times have also changed. No, times have completely changed, and I feel, I'll tell you why. I'll come to that in the next question. But there was a point where you took a break after you became a mother.
Yeah.
Was it a conscious move?
It was very conscious. Yeah. I wanted that time to be with my child's time, and honestly, in my head, it was more like about 7 to 8 years, and I've always said it that I had the luxury of taking the time off. A lot of mothers don't have the luxury. You need that time. Your body has gone through a lot. Your mind has gone through a lot, and you're dealing with a lot of stuff. And I do feel that one parent needs to be around. And at any given point of time, I was taking on work which kept me around my child, and I wouldn't go on outdoors. So even today, now not so much, but we've always, whenever I have been very deep into work, is when Goldie is prepping, or not really on floor. But when he is on set, then I'm at home. So we've done that, I think if nobody forces you to, in today's day and age, it's not a thing that you need to have a child. If you're bringing a life into this world, you better do your best. Yeah. You're molding that brain. I mean, it's a responsibility. I want my child to be a good human being. I hope so. Only time will tell. We don't know. I can only hope for it, and I can work towards it. End result, I might not be here to see it, or it will be later, but whenever it is, I can only hope for the best result. And that's the least I can do if I'm bringing a life into this world.
Why I asked you this and why I spoke about my mother is because my mother read a news, and the news had everything about all the details, but more than what you were battling, my mother's whole thing was like about the age of your child.
Yeah, he was 12 years old when this happened.
Yeah. And she just kept telling me that, and like, and everybody was reporting everything. In Bengali, it was reported in something else. It was made to be very severe.
It was.
It was severe, but something else. Like it was something else completely. So breaking the news to your child, was it difficult at that point? Did you involve him through every stage of the disease? When I read somewhere that you did a scan and you got to know that it spread to.
Yeah, he was not here at that point of time. He was on a trip on a summer camp, and I was supposed to go and pick him up from the summer camp, and my sister went to pick him up. So he was like, how come Masi has come to pick him up? And she said that, that there had been change of plans, and we told him on the phone that, we're going to the US and not Europe. And he said, oh, okay, plans have changed. She said, yeah, just... so we said, okay, this is what it was. And he came to the US. But later on now, when we speak to him later, and he said, I was always wondering, how come Masi is there and the cousins were not there? And how come she's on a holiday? And she, he asked her that also, that if you're going on a holiday to the US, how come you've come on a holiday without... He took his cousins' names. How come you've come on a holiday without them? So she said that, and she said, he has asked me this. And she said, I needed some me time. And she has twins. So she said, it was just getting so overwhelming. I needed some me time. So I just wanted to come to my sister for a little while. So he said, okay. But later on, he was telling me, I always thought it was a bit odd that she was doing that. It didn't feel like her.
So who broke the news to him? You did?
When we landed, Goldie broke the news to him.
And... I've seen few things, a few videos, because Shrishti keeps putting, and Shrishti's son also keeps putting those pictures. एक vibe होता है. You can see somebody and feel that this is a good child. Like, I would like to believe that is how it is, because my mother says it like that. He's well brought up. So is Shrishti's son.
Yeah.
I want to know, how did he react? Did you feel like parents feel that, oh, will he be able to take it? But did he take it well? Like, sometimes kids can surprise you.
Yeah. They always surprise us. Not sometimes, always. And I don't think lying is a good option, because kids always know. And what happens is that when they don't know the truth, they think they've done something wrong. And so the thing is that, do I want my child to think that he's to be blamed for something and something he's done wrong? Or there was no doubt in mine and Goldie's head that this was not going to be done together, because he's family. How can I keep him away from it? He has to be part of it. And it's just that how we make him the part of it was what was up to us. Goldie told him that when he landed, when he got into the car, when he went to pick him up, he said that, look, this is what it was. And I know you will be surprised, but we're here because, we've come for Mama's treatment, and she's not well. She says she's going to be okay, but she needs a specialized treatment, and we have come for over here. And Ranveer has been asthmatic as a child, so he just reaches into his backpack and takes out his pump and takes a, because that obviously any stress kind of triggers that off, and he takes his medicine, puff of that, and he just sits there absolutely quietly. And then he told Goldie that, I've read a book with Mama, and a child my age goes through it because his sibling goes through it. Papa, it's not going to be easy for the family. This disease. He asked, what is it? So he told him cancer, and that's when he said that we've read a story together, we've read a book together, Mama and me. And it's very difficult for the family, a lot of equations change, things change in the family. So I thought, yet again, I would say books to my rescue.
Absolutely. But
what would we do without books?
Absolutely. But now when you're coming back, you're doing a show, and there is a digital debut waiting.
Yeah.
I just want to know that how much precautions do you take around you for your health? Like, I knew, and I genuinely give it up to your entire team, and I understand the situation when we couldn't do this the last 2 seasons, because of course the situation was something, we've been through a pandemic, and honestly I wouldn't want anything like, not even this interview is not important. As important as your health.
Thank you for understanding. But I will tell you this, that I'm being as careful as you should be. The times that we are living in are unprecedented, and nobody really knows how it's going to be, what it is going to be. We are all kind of living each day as it comes, where this pandemic is concerned. Yeah. So I would just say that I kind of got a heads up on it because I was living the masked, sanitized life in any case. So I just had a bit of heads up on it. I was well prepared for it, is what I would say. But yeah, but it's been for years and I'm doing really well. And I'm not, in fact, I've reached a stage where I'm not even on medication. So it was good to kind of go and attempt to do this show. This show was shot more in Mumbai, where doctors were close by and all of that. Touch wood, it has gone off so well. I've enjoyed it so much. In fact, I'm doing another show right now. So it's given me a lot of confidence and I'm so ready to go out there and, take on more work. Also because, not just because pandemic is ending, but also my son has turned 16 now.
Yeah.
And I think he doesn't need a mother hovering over him all the time. For him to grow into an independent human being, he needs to be given space.
Yeah.
And, the trick about any relationship is to understand when to give space. And It's not just between a mother and a child, but every relationship on air. You need to understand when to give space, when to be there, when to, kind of just back off a bit. And I think my son is growing up. He needs to make his own mistakes because everything cannot be, he will need to learn from it. And the earlier he makes those mistakes, the better it is. Because they are younger, he still has the support where it can be, he can learn the lessons from it. So I need to let him have the space to make them.
Absolutely, ma'am. And I have to tell you this, that you will remain an emotion to me and many others who have known you. Today is the first time I'm genuinely sitting and talking to you. And I'll tell you one thing very honestly. This show has a tagline. It says, if she can, you can.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody or anybody's story or anybody's journey embodies that as well as yours. And I hope to see more of you now. And I hope to have more conversations with you. I know this was a little deep and serious, but at the same time, I just know that this conversation possibly is going to give hope and encouragement to all those men and women out there who are battling some crisis in life and thinking, why me? And they shouldn't be thinking, why it's them. Thank you so much.
Thank you for it. Next time, we'll do a lighter one.
Yeah, we will. We'll do dance reels on all your songs.
Oh no! What did I unleash?
But thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Sonali Bandre, and I just shared my journey on Bollywood Bubble. Please watch it, and if you like it, please like, share, and subscribe.